How's it going, everyone? Got quite a lot of JRPG talk to cover in this video. An upcoming JRPG that a lot of you guys are excited for already has a sequel planned, so that's pretty cool. We'll also talk about another upcoming JRPG, Visions of Mana. While that game will not have multiplayer, that is something that the producer, Masaru Oyamada, does want to implement in the future. We'll talk about that at the end of this video. But right off the top, a Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes already has a sequel planned. Now, if you guys don't know, unfortunately, the creator of Suikoden and Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, the scenario writer Yoshitaka Murayama, did pass away last month on February the 6th. Very, very unfortunate. Complications with his health unfortunately led to the passing, and it led to questions about whether or not Eiyuden Chronicle would be a one and done, and the development studio in Rabbit and Bear noted, "We are moving forward with a sequel. It is very sad that Murayama is not with us anymore, but we have discussed many things with him. I hope we will be able to carry on Murayama's legacy, and I always want to treasure his last work. I hope many people will support the game." So obviously tied to very unfortunate news, but it is exciting that the infrastructure and the essence of what Murayama left with Eiyuden Chronicle as well as Suikoden, that will be carried on. So his legacy is going to continue on with Eiyuden Chronicle as that is looking to develop into an IP. And I don't find that all too surprising, given the fact that Eiyuden Chronicle was such a success on Kickstarter that they did a prequel title in Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. That was a shorter 2D action RPG, but that game then propelled into Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. And you don't need to play Rising to play 100 Heroes. 100 Heroes is really the big game that everybody's been waiting on, and it's a big JRPG with a large cast of characters. Suikoden always had the gimmick of, oh, we've got a ton of characters, and while in 100 Heroes it looks like all of the characters have very unique character design, when you go into games like these guys, think about it. You've got 100 characters to pick from. Not every character is going to have an incredible amount of depth and an incredible story arc attached to them. That's just not possible with that many characters. You've got 3 characters at the helm of the story, secondary characters that will also be important as well, but then ultimately, I do imagine that there will be the tertiary characters that won't have as much focus outside of being party members, so just keep that in mind when you are seeing this game. I imagine a lot of you guys didn't play Suikoden, and Suikoden wasn't a franchise that I was super into back in the day. Like, you're talking the PlayStation 1 era when Suikoden was really big. I know there was that Nintendo DS game as well, but for me, you know, growing up, yes, I had a PlayStation 1, but that was my very early days in gaming, and I was just playing whatever games that, you know, my parents got me or so on and so forth. And I'll tell you what, my old man did not bring me Suikoden 2. Even though my old man would have taken that copy of Suikoden 2 had he gotten for me, and he would have sold it online because that game goes for an absurd amount of money these days. I do know they're also remaking or remastering Suikoden 1 and 2. It's just when I got into rarer games and knowing what games were priced at, Suikoden 2 was always one of those games that was just randomly like $150 on eBay. So thankfully they are remastering that as well. So you've got that to look forward to, and you've got Eiyuden Chronicle spinning into a franchise as well. Good time to be a Suikoden fan. You know, it would be just like Konami to see the news of Eiyuden Chronicle and be like, let's do a Suikoden remaster. And then imagine they also wanted to bring back Suikoden with like a brand new title. I don't think they're gonna do that, but at the very least, if you like that style of game, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes looks like it's gonna become a franchise. Still not a big fan of the $80 deluxe edition. I'm gonna be real with you guys. At the very least, people that did kickstart the game, if you paid the $40 Kickstarter fee or whatever, you're getting the highest end edition with all the DLC, so that's quite nice. But you know, the early access gimmick tied into it, I know that's a 505 Games decision, the publisher, but still not a big fan of that. But what can you do? Next up, another notable JRPG that's coming out later this year, and I feel like it's not getting as much attention, but Visions of Mana, you guys, looks fantastic. The game is coming out, I believe, sometime this summer, and I gotta say, so far what we've seen out of the game has looked really, really great. Obviously, from a Square Enix standpoint, it's not gonna get the buzz that some of their other IPs have, but I think the game looks great. And PC Gamer spoke to producer Masaru Oyamada if cooperative multiplayer was ever considered for Visions of Mana, noting when I played Secret of Mana, the multiplayer co-op mode was something that really stood out and left a strong impression on me, Oyamada said. So when we were proposing this game internally and discussing what it should be, we actually had that discussion on whether we should incorporate a feature like that. As things kind of developed further internally, we had discussions on the various things that you could do through multiplayer mode, but also some challenges a multiplayer mode introduces. By having multiple players playing, that could also affect the overall field design and also the tempo of the player's experience. However, when I think about the series and look towards the future, I myself really do cherish and have fond memories of being able to go on one single adventure with your friends and clear things together. I know what that experience is like, and I do want to consider being able to implement features like that in the future. So, once we can address some of the technical issues, players can experience that element of the Mana series too. So, take that for what you will. I know, like, a lot of you guys, when you even think about multiplayer to a Japanese RPG, you'll be like, blasphemy. Like, no way. A JRPG should be a single-player experience, and cooperative play would ultimately dilute the experience. I'm okay either way if they can implement co-op play while also retaining a single-player playthrough that isn't being taken away from by the co-op play. I think that's fine, but Visions of Mana, I'm sure, isn't going to be a game that gets a ton of buzz, but guys, I just keep seeing footage of this game, and every time I see it, I'm like, man, this is a game that I'm getting more and more excited for. It came out of nowhere, and I don't have that level of attachment towards the Mana franchise, like Secret of Mana or anything like that. Mana wasn't a franchise that resonated with me growing up as well, but, you know, looking at Visions of Mana, I think this game is shaping up quite nicely, and it's nice to see that Square Enix doesn't have all their eggs in the Final Fantasy basket. They are kind of diversifying their portfolio and trying to resonate with their second-tier JRPG franchise, with your Octopath Travelers, with your remastering of these PSP games like a Tactics Ogre and a Star Ocean Second Evolution, and doing Star Ocean Divine Force. I know there have been titles like Valkyrie Elysium and Diofield Chronicle that have been more on the mediocre side of things, but at least they're doing it, and they're doing things that I feel like the hardcore Square Enix fans, and certainly the hardcore JRPG fans, will appreciate. Is everything gonna be a home run? No. But I think they're doing a lot of good, and they still have kind of a lot of things in their back pocket. I know a lot of you guys are like, man, why haven't they done this yet? Why haven't they done that yet? Well, you want to keep some things in the barrel, so to speak. Final Fantasy Tactics Remaster, they still got that. Final Fantasy IX Remaster Remake, they still got that. A potential Final Fantasy X remake, they could still do that. They could continue doing, you know, AA JRPG titles, you know, not big budget games, but something like a Diofield Chronicle, and creating new IPs. I think this idea of, yes, Final Fantasy is gonna be at the forefront. That is always gonna be what Square Enix's reputation lives and dies on, but you've got all of these other titles, and you've got all of these irons in the fire, and obviously you've got Kingdom Hearts 4 as well. That'll come out in 2032, and I'm sure that'll be pretty cool. We'll see. Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't the best, but I feel like Square Enix is doing a lot of great work, and not everything's gonna be a home run, and sometimes they talk about their NFT nonsense, and that annoys me, but for the most part, you look at Final Fantasy XIV, you look at Final Fantasy as a whole. I loved FF16, offered something new. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you know, while there's been a lot of flack for the commercial numbers, which I feel like I gotta do a separate video on. Like, if anybody was expecting that game to sell more than the Final Fantasy VII Remake, you were just off your rocker. I just don't know what you were thinking at that point, but nonetheless, Rebirth, the game itself, tremendous, and they've been doing a lot of other great work. Crisis Core, people have wanted that for a long time. Star Ocean, they got Divine Force out there as well, which I thought was an okay game. Not everything is going to be top tier, but more irons in the fire and more diversifying of trying to resonate with various IPs and creating a new Mana title and Visions of Mana. Excited about that. And by the way, Saga's getting a new game as well. The name escapes me right now, but that's another franchise that they're bringing back, so it'll be interesting to see how that'll resonate as well. But Visions of Mana coming in 2024. No multiplayer right now, but it might be implemented sometime in the future. But that'll do it for me. It looks like even with the passing and the recent death of Yoshitaka Murayama, the creator of Suikoden, as well as the scenario writer of Eiyuden Chronicle, Eiyuden Chronicle will be continuing as a franchise, and a sequel is already planned. So that's pretty cool to see that his legacy will continue to live on. And Visions of Mana will not have multiplayer, but it's something that they may implement in the future. Good time to be JRPG fans. And I've been saying this all year long, man. While I do think that the early portion of the year with Grand Blue, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Persona 3 Reload, and if you want to throw Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth in there as well, I don't think any 2-month stretch, or really it was a 1-month stretch, yeah, Like a Dragon came out in January 26th, and then Rebirth was out by February 29th, so I don't think any 1-month stretch is going to ever, in our lifetimes, I'm not even joking with you guys, in our lifetimes, beat out that 4 game release in the span of a month as far as JRPGs go, but we're still getting some cool stuff in 2024, so excited for that. But that'll do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.